Hello everyone and welcome back to the CO2 Rundown. I'm your host Chad Owens, and what an awesome weekend I personally had. I hope you all had a great weekend as well. Lots going on in the sports world, especially for the University of Hawaii. So I got the sports guru joining me today, Stephen Tsai. I missed him last week because we had the mock draft with Curtis, but look, today we got our guy back. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Let's dive on in to the CO2 Rundown. And before we jump into our local stories and the Stephen Tsai interview, I want to share some national news with you guys. If you're basketball fans, you know that Lebron James is back, made his return. And in their loss against the Raptors, where the Lakers really they didn't play their best ball. And yeah, maybe that's expected. LeBron James, a little hesitant. He's on the ankle. And again, this isn't just a regular ankle sprain. It was a high ankle sprain, and those are extremely tough to come back from. So look, I know he's a hard worker. He put in the time to come back from this injury to get going again. But he re-aggravated that ankle in the fourth quarter of that loss to the Raptors. And now in tonight's game against the Nuggets, he's going to be sitting out to rest that ankle. And I think the Lakers really need to be smart with LeBron James in this stretch of the season in preparation for the playoffs. You know, you talk about load management. LeBron James has never been a load management guy. He's always been someone that was in it, right? Because of his physical abilities, his gifts, he was able to sustain and play every game, every season. And but I think he just needs to be smart with his ankle, especially a high ankle sprain, you know, in their preparation to make this, you know, playoff run and maybe a push for a back-to-back championship, which I still think is gonna happen. But yeah, so King James fans, he is most likely sitting out in tonight's game against the Denver Nuggets. So hey, just gotta be smart sometimes in sports. You gotta really listen to your body. You gotta be smart. And just one little last thing for all you aspiring athletes that want to go pro. Hey, sometimes the LeBron Jameses of the world, they're good. They can take their breaks. They can, you know, not worried about it. But a rookie or someone that's just trying to, you know, get their foot in the door to make them, you know, get themselves to that big contract, man, you can't let it, like, sometimes the injury is what gets you out, right? So we call it the pressure to perform, you know? So there's a lot of things that happen, you know, there, and even at the collegiate level, because you want to go pro. So if you're not playing, you're not getting looked at, you know? So the pressure to perform is real. It's something that all athletes deal with. And LeBron doesn't have that issue. Just want to make that very clear. You know, he can sit out whenever he wants, make sure he's good, so that he can be at his very best for his team come game day. So I just wanted to add that little detail in there. And yeah, let's move on. All right, last one here before we jump into this interview. Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather June 6th. I know this is, you know, news that was from last week, but I've been thinking about it. Dating back to Jake Paul, right? The Nate Robinson fight, his Ben Askren fight. And I want some comments. I want your opinions. I mean, these are basically exhibition bouts that are generating millions, like record-setting numbers on pay-per-view. Like, how? I feel it's almost like disrespectful. This is my personal opinion. You know, all you actual fighters, you boxers out there, you know, MMA fight. I want to know your opinions because this is about money. Let's just be real. This is about a payday. But who's paying? Hey, everyone that's buying the pay-per-view. I'm not saying don't tune into the fight, because shoot, I want to tune in just because it's Floyd Mayweather. He's undefeated. He's putting his reputation, his undefeated record on the line for possibly a fluke knockout against Logan Paul, who is an actual boxer, but he's a YouTuber, right? Him and his brother. it's just it sparks the curiosity. In today's society, today's world, social media, it's all driven by these types of things, and it's about that money. I'm not hating on that. My personal opinion, I just feel like it's sort of maybe disrespecting the boxing world, disrespecting, you know, the people that are actually fighting to get there. And, you know, here comes two quote unquote celebrities coming together and generating a payday, right? Who knows? Jake Paul and Ben Askren might have been partying together privately after that fight, talking about how much money they just made. You know, makes me want to, you know, train and just do something like that. Get in there and get mines. But look, let us know. I want to know your thoughts. And yeah, that's all I got about that. Ooh, yeah, and I express my excitement to have Stephen Tsai joining us again. He's got a few articles in today's Honolulu Star-Advertiser talking about the things that we are going to talk about right now. So look, without further ado, let's check out this interview with Stephen Tsai. All right, Stephen Tsai, the sports guru. Man, thanks so much for joining us here in the CO2 Run Dwn. Man, I missed you last week.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a little busy with Curtis.
Yeah,
you guys had a great time talking about the draft, and sounds like all your observations kind of came true. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the Trey Lance thing happened, you know, for the 49ers, which I think, and I was talking to Khalid Tilton, who's a quarterback coach here in Hawaii at the youth level, high school level, and he says that he believes that Trey Lance is in the best situation to be successful right off the bat, and I think that's true. You know, being with the 49ers and what the supporting cast that he has, you know, I think he's, out of all the quarterbacks that got drafted, I think he does have the best start, you know, that's around him.
And you know what I like too about that whole thing? I like the fact that it kind of goes back to even Hawaii. It doesn't matter what division level, who you're playing, all kinds of stuff. Because you look at, you talk about Zach Wilson, number 2. They said, well, he didn't play the level of competition, but you know what? He's good enough to be second player taking the entire draft. So I think it's who you are and talent. I think there's talent everywhere. Of course, we always know there's talent at BYU.
There is tons of talent everywhere, and you know, it's hard when you look at college football, Stephen, and then we're going to talk about obviously UH sports here in a second, because there's a lot of big things going on here. But to wrap up this NFL draft, you know, when you're a scout, when you're looking at players, it's hard, because if you're looking at a guy that's at the Alabamas, the top schools, who, like, I'm just going to use Alabama. That's basically an NFL team. You know, you have a lot of first round offensive linemen. You have, you know, first round receivers, first round running backs. You have all the best of the best around you. So as an evaluator, it gets a little skewed, in my opinion, because you have a guy like Trey Lance who may not have all of those first round supporting casts, but still gets taken third overall. You know, so it's going to be very interesting to see, you know, these guys who transition from these top tier schools to the NFL, where everybody's good. You know, that DN that was getting blocked, that you trusted your old lineman, your left tackle, to get him, now is facing an all-pro DN who gets to the quarterback, who hurries, and, you know, a guy, Aaron Donald up to, you know, there's a lot of guys that it's like, okay, now we're going to see, you know, a true evaluation when these guys get to the NFL.
Oh, and you know, that's another thing. What I like too is that I like guys who come from the smaller programs, the less rich programs. Yeah, it's just because they do things on their own. They don't have the luxuries. They gotta carry things. They gotta help out, and that humbles you. And I think that's kind of taking back to where football used to be, where people aren't doing things for you. You got to do it for yourself. And I like those kind of guys. That's why I love the Niners pick. You're getting a guy who wasn't a big program, and you're playing hungry guys, and there's talent all over the place. And maybe you don't have the great film or the weight rooms or anything, but that's how you learn, and that's how you tough. And that's kind of going back to everything. It's Rocky 3. Ever seen Rocky 3? Greatest movie ever. It's getting the eye of the tiger back. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And let's cap off this NFL draft with, former UH receiver Rico Bussey, who signed a free agent contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and he was just kind of one and done kind of a guy. He came in there, did what he had to do. It was a new system for Hawaii, new system for him. He came from North Texas, where he had some success, but he had a knee injury, kind of got his career back going. And the thing though about him was he was a fairly good receiver for Hawaii, but they had better receivers too. And you're going to see some guys in the future like Jared Smart, Nick Martiner. They're talking about this guy Jason Phillips. There's just a lot of talent in that program, and so he was good for this year. He's good for that transition, but there's going to be some better ones coming along. And you know where that was on display? Last Friday, UH ended spring training with their first spring practice. I mean, huge spring practice.
Spring game, yeah.
It was his first spring game under Todd Graham at UH, because they didn't have one last year. And team looked kind of good, but the one thing about the team is they're still kind of trying to learn how to play a faster pace. But the interesting thing is it's Calvin Turner. That's the guy. That's the guy next year. It's the guy who's going to be an NFL pick next year too, because he's really good. He decided to come back to school, and their whole offense is going to just based around Calvin Turner.
Yeah, I see him being a high draft pick, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could he be like an Ashley Lilly and be a first round pick? I mean, I wouldn't say no. I think, in the country last year, he was probably maybe one of the top, if not the top, sort of like all-purpose guys, right? Because he's a guy that's special. You can put him in the backfield. He returns kicks, punts. He's a receiver. He can go wildcat. So he's a very unique guy. But I'm just putting my NFL scout cap on now, right? There's like, okay, but they raise questions. Okay, where do we put this guy? Like, he's not is he a full-time receiver? Is he a return? Like, what is he? Right? He's an athlete is what he is. He's a playmaker. He's a game changer is what he is. So they will find a spot for him. So I'm just looking forward to seeing his growth this year in that system, and to be able to showcase more of his talents, become a better route runner, more precise route runner. And man, like, I would not be surprised if he becomes a high draft pick. And the thing that's going to be the difference there is his 40 time. He's going to get invited to the NFL Combine. And if he goes there and runs like sub 4.4, yeah, that's going to raise the eyes of these scouts. And I can see him being a high draft pick. So, yeah, looking forward to that, man.
Well, you know what? The interesting thing about him too is he's used at the wildcat quarterback spot. And the one thing about being a wildcat quarterback is you need the quarterback part of it. He's great when he gets the ball, runs the read option and everything, but every now and then you got to throw the ball. I want to see him just throw it just a little bit, just to kind of make sure people just don't pack the box. I know you're great, but sometimes, going 1 against 8 is a little bit tough. So I think he's got to learn to just kind of toss the ball just a little bit, just to show something.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's got that in him. And the coaches, it's a little sprinkle of a wrinkle there that they're going to probably utilize this year based on how they used him last year in the Wildcat. And let's transition right into this, Stephen. Ching Field is being transformed to University of Hawaii's home field this year. I know they said it will be ready for this year's kickoff in August. Man, I'm kind of excited about this. How are you feeling about it?
I'm excited about it. I'm excited because they reacted quickly. They kind of got caught a little bit off guard when the Lowe Stadium says, you know what, we can have events, but no fans there. And then I'm not sure if that was a bluff to kind of get the legislature to throw more money in the Lowe Stadium or whatever, but UH said, you know what, we can't wait around while this chess game's going on. We'll just put up our own thing. And now it's not going to be great. It's going to be like the old stadiums, where, the people's knees are going to be at your back and everything. It's going to be bench seating and everything. And, I don't know how many people, they say they can squeeze 9,000 into it. I don't know about you, but Hawaii fans are a little bit wider than that sometimes. So they might have to sit sideways, but I just think it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that works. But the thing is, they got done quickly, which is amazing because, as a state that's trying to build a rail, things don't ever get done quickly here. They're getting things done quickly. Might be a little pricey the first year, it'll be less pricey after that. But it sounds like for the next 3 years, at least they're trying to do something and trying to create something. And, it's pretty amazing with the little amount of time that they had to put this together.
Yeah, and I know you have a story in today's Honolulu Star-Advertiser
Yeah.
about that. So make sure you guys tune into that. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I know the players are extremely excited and knowing that, you know what, we're gonna be playing in front of our home fans again, whether
Mhm.
it's 9,000, or 15,000 or whatever it is. It's like we're gonna have fans, and at that venue, 9,000 will feel like, a lot of people in that
Mhm.
venue. And for me, it wouldn't matter. If there's fans in the stands, I'm getting people off their feet. That's all that matters. That's enough. That's enough for me to push that much harder. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, and again, you got to remember when you played, how what used to be Cook Field, Ching Field used to be Cook Field, and how that turf was kind of wearing away. And
Oh,
sometimes there were like cats living on there and turning on, their own sandbox. And you know what? It's come a long way. So we could talk about whatever bench seating, whatever, bathroom problems they might have, but you remember how it used to be. And
oh my
this,
gosh, there
this
was
is gold
patches of
here.
that field missing. So let's just leave it at that. Anyway, let's transition. UH baseball
Yeah.
and a specific player has been on fire.
Dustin Demeter. Now, this is an incredible thing. Now, I'm not sure if you had it, but have you ever had like that toe jam type of it? Not toe jam, but
Turf toe, turf toe.
turf toe. Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
I
I
don't
think I
think you had
think
toe
everyone's
jam.
had some
Yeah,
toe jams,
yeah.
Stephen. We've all had toe jams. You got to get in there and get that out. Anyway, yeah, turf toe.
Yes, but turf toe. You've
It
had that, right? I
sucks.
think, and that
Yeah, it
hurts.
sucks.
And you don't think it hurts, but you'd be surprised how that big toe was. The toe that goes to market. You'd be surprised. That toe is like so. Anyway, he had that. He had some foot problems. He was out 13 games. He comes back. He can't field, but he's a designated hitter. And when you're a designated hitter, what do? You hit. And he had an incredible weekend. He went 11 for 19 this past weekend, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. He had back-to-back 6 RBI games. The guy is a fire. He's on fire. He's hitting, and because he's hitting, it passes on. It makes the pitching a lot easier. Boys on a roll. Unfortunately, they have a bye this weekend, but they're on the roll. They won 7 and 8, and we'll see how that goes. But things are looking better on the baseball team.
Yeah, and it's crazy how baseball is a game of, like, they say slumps. I got that word slump. You're in a slump. I got that from baseball.
Mm.
It's like, you're in a hitting slump, and you get out of it, and you get on fire. And it's such a game of ups and downs. And if you can find that rhythm, and you can stay there, confidence. It's an amazing thing to witness when guys are, especially at the bat, when you got that bat and you're on fire and consistently getting it off. It's hitting and pitching, right? The two things that I think are the determining factors when it comes to baseball.
Yeah.
If you got amazing pitching, it makes your defense a lot easier. If you got amazing hitting, you're putting pressure on the opposing team when they're at bat and they're stressing and pressing, as opposed to just relaxing and doing what comes natural. So that's a big jump that the UH baseball team needed, because they've sort of been in a little bit of a slump.
Right, and you know what? And baseball's a tough game because you're hitting a ball with a bat. It doesn't match up. You also about square peg, round holes, that kind of thing. It doesn't match up. And if you fail 70% of the time, you're successful in baseball. And just the fact that now Demeter brings that feeling where it was kind of like the old Barry Bonds days, where you're counting down to like how many more outs he gets to, the players so he gets to bat, and there's excitement. And I kind of just like the excitement of, I know it's a team sport, but it's fun when individuals excel in the team sport.
Yeah, exactly. So congrats to our UH baseball team for sort of getting out of that slump and creating that excitement within the dugout again and amongst that team. And that's going to carry them, for the next game. And rolling with excitement, Stephen, our men's volleyball team headed out.
Going to Columbus.
Right? Columbus NCAA tournament.
Going to LeBron's hometown, right?
Hey, they're automatically in the semifinal game.
Yeah.
Here's my question. This is amazing. They lose in the first round of their Big West tourney, and then they still get the top seed in the NCAA tournament. Talk to us about that.
Well, they were just the best team, and and I like, a lot of people say, well, it's good they got the losing out of the way. I don't think losing is ever good, and I know they say, well, there are lessons to be made from losing. You can learn the same lessons by winning, but I just thought it was a really tough loss to a team that wasn't as good as they were. And it was just a bad night, and they were at home, and that kind of made things worse because, you're at home and you lose that early. But you know what? They're back in. They're the number one team, as they should be, and it's now you got to win out. The only thing that worries me is sometimes those teams that play earlier leading into those games against teams that have buys, you get a little bit of that momentum. And, somehow when you're just playing and then you just keep rolling, it's a little bit hard. So that's one of those things that they have to really kind of amp up. Maybe they got to practice a little bit more intensively leading into that match, because you just got to keep the fire up, because the team you're going to be playing is a team that fought to get into the semifinals. Now, since you're there and you've been waiting for them, you've got to also now respond back and show that, you are the superior team.
Yeah, and I think the lesson, there are lessons. I love your mentality though, Stephen, right? Hey, I didn't like losing either, but there are lessons in both wins and losses. And I think the thing that they definitely learned in that loss, it was a team that they should have beat. Yeah. Right? So don't play down to the other team's level. You stay at your number one level. And if you're just going to completely dominate a team, then you go and dominate a team. So I don't see them letting a team that barely scratched to get in, right? This seems like this is a team that they should be beating. And they should go ahead and dominate this team. I think they learned that. And, as far as a team that's been playing, you get a bye, you start to lose that game feel. I don't see that being an issue. They're well coached. They're all players that, this is what they do. They get out of bed being ready to throw down a kill, and play together. So, but I do agree with you. Their practices are probably going to be still intense, game-like, so that they don't lose that intensity. But this could be. We're a couple wins away from an NCAA title.
That's been their way before, and I was there in 2002 when they actually won the NCAA title. So what happened was they had a player, Kostas Theoharides, who had was an amateur, didn't get any money, but played on a team with full professionals. And it wasn't a secret they was doing it, because it was in the media guide that was the team he was on. They've later, since then, they've changed the rule that if you're an amateur on a pro team, it doesn't matter, you're still an amateur. And but back then that was the rule, and so they lost their title, sort of. But I don't know. Can you unimagine something? It's kind of like when they tell the jury, disregard what they just said. I saw them win. Billy the Warrior was out there. Everybody was out there pounding drums. Everything. It was a big celebration. People came home with pieces of the floor. I think you won it. If you win the final, you won it. But whether that's recognized or not, it just seems like this may seem like they're going to go for their first national title, even though in my mind they've already won one. Right.
No, for sure. So good luck to our men out there. And speaking of national titles, also, right, our UH women's water polo team is headed to the NCAA tourney as well to possibly get a national championship. And they had to come from behind. Was it UC Irvine? They were down, I believe, down 3-0, and they came back to win. Or down 3 goals. That's in water polo, man. Like, look, I don't watch a whole lot of water polo, but I know what the game is. I've seen it before. To score in that seems pretty difficult. And to score and you're down 3.
And I know you're Aquaman. You're Jason Momoa. You see things. And you've also heard that phrase, right? About a duck. The duck looks calm on top. On the bottom, it's kicking like heck. At Duke Honolulu Pool, you go downstairs. You can watch the action from below. There's grabbing, there's punching, there's hitting. It's a tough sport below the surface. Wow. On the top, it might look like a game of finesse and everything. No, it's a mean, nasty, tough sport. And Hawaii proved to be meaner, nastier, tougher to win. And it takes a lot to win.
Better warriors, Stephen. Better warriors.
Yes,
those women are better warriors. So congrats to our women's water polo team for persevering, and they deserve and they earn the chance to be in the NCAA tournament with an opportunity to win an NCAA championship. So it'll be amazing, right? We got our men's volleyball team get a championship, our women's water polo team, big celebrations in 2021. Coming out of this pandemic, man, lots to celebrate, lots to be excited about.
And the best thing is, they're playing. They're playing. Yeah, that's the best thing. They're out there. They're playing. Yeah,
They're
that wasn't
playing.
a year ago. Nobody was playing. They're playing. I think that's the best thing. So
Yeah.
I think we're back. Kind of back,
That-
sort of back. On the way back.
That alone, you're right. That alone is a reason to celebrate. Is that we're playing. And let's just close with this, Stephen. Speaking of playing, speaking of just being able to get out there finally, not an official game, but there's been some scrimmages in the high school football ranks in the more of the private schools, private sectors, outside of the DOE. They created these little scrimmages. And the other day, St. Louis took on Punahou in a scrimmage, which these guys, it wasn't a scrimmage. It's game time. These guys have been fiending and starving for games and for competition, and let alone you put two rivals together. Yeah, they were all reminded of that. I think the coaches, everybody was just sort of like they embraced that opportunity, and it didn't matter what score. It didn't matter. It was just about every play, a chance to go out there and do what you love.
And you know
That's
why?
what I'm excited about for these kids.
If there are Lee brothers out there, it's gonna be intense. You played under Ron Lee. He seems like that old nice uncle guy, but come on, he's competitive. And you take one of his teams and you put him out there, especially against Punahou, it's competitive.
Yeah, highly competitive. So I just want to share my excitement about that. My son, there's baseball. There's baseball on TV. There's high school sports on TV. OC 16. I'm watching my son play baseball from Honolulu. I think they played Kailua, and it was just like, it was almost like a breath of fresh air and a sigh of relief. It's like, wow, like, not for me, for parents too. All the parents that were able to watch, to finally watch their kids play and perform. But for the kids, man, it was a sigh of relief for all of those student athletes that were able to go out there and compete, under the lights. So yeah, I'm happy that we're almost all the way back. We're right there. Yeah, exciting times, Stephen.
Yeah, we had some dark times. It's gonna get better. Future's gonna be better. So but
Yes, sir.
Still, everyone's still got to stay safe. Wear a mask in public, even if you've been vaccinated. Just try to not get into too much of space. But you know what? You do all those things, you can play. If you can play, we're almost back.
That's it. Well, Stephen, man, thank you so much. We had to make up for our lost time last week. So
I know.
A little extended.
Yeah,
a little extended segment with you today. A little longer interview, which I appreciate. So again, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for your knowledge, and thanks for joining us on today's CO2 Rundown. Happy Monday, brother. Enjoy the start.
All right, take care.
To the week.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Aloha.
And that is it for today's show. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are all off to an amazing start. Hey, it's May. We had May Day over the weekend, so happy May Day to all of you. And let's push. Let's make this push, man. Summer is right around the corner. Our seniors in high school are this close to graduating. A lot of exciting things happening for a lot of families here in Hawaii. So yeah, I personally am sort of like still trying to grasp the fact that, damn, my son is about to graduate. My son is turning 18 in 3 days. Whew! Anyway, shout out to you, son. I love you. I'm so proud of you. And man, the sky is the limit. And you're turning 18, so it's about time you get your license. So you better be ready to take that test. Anyway, look, thank you guys so much. I'll see you all on Hump Day Wednesday.